Bonjour, hello, this is Piero and Giorgio. Welcome to Geneva. It's a very warm summer day here in my city where I live. As you can see, sun is shining. Very hot summer day today. I'm here to talk to you about a book I've read, Too Much Magic by James Howard Kunstler. Excellent book. As you know, I'm the author of Survive to the Economic Collapse, and I will do my review of James Kunstler's book in English today. Donc pour mes amis français, désolé, je ferai ma petite revue en français per i miei amici italiani. Bisogna aspettare che il libro sia tradotto in italiano. Und für meine deutschen Freunde, sie müssen warten, dass dieses Buch übersetzt wird. Okay, so Too Much Magic by James Howard Kunstler. Now, James Kunstler is one of my favorite recent authors in the US. He's author of many books, some of which have been instrumental and key in developing my consciousness about the coming collapse of our modern societies and why I think we have very few solutions. And he has written many books. Some of the most important ones, I think, were, of course, The Long Emergency, which is probably his most famous book today. But also before that, The Geography of Nowhere, a book where he completely described the catastrophic status and development of the suburbia in the United States. And incidentally, my wife being an urbanist, it was very interesting as this book sparked a lot of discussions with her and me about the status of cities around the world, in Europe, in the US and in third world countries, and why in different levels this is one of the catastrophic elements that will lead us to collapse of our system and our economy. Another series of books that James Kunstler has written that are really very interesting for all of us who are preparing ourselves for a much different future and less easy future than what we've experienced in the past 20 or 40 years is the World Made by Hand series. I've read two of them, World Made by Hand and The Witch of Hebron, which are set in near future where energy and society, and as we know it, has collapsed. And it shows how people react, rebuild, reorganize themselves. And these books are really a must-read for all of us who organize. And likewise, The Long Emergency is one of the books who have inspired my own. Now, Too Much Magic. This book just came out. I've just received it a few days ago. I must say that I read it thoroughly in a few hours and over the last few days. The title is Too Much Magic, Wishful Thinking, Technology, and the Fate of the Nation. And it really is the content of the book. It was sad that the book is so short, only 240 pages, because I wanted to read so much more. The insights of James Kunstler are always inspiring and very interesting. So, what does this book talks about? Well, first of all, it's a well-written book. James Kunstler is one of the contemporary authors in the US that writes, I think, the best. And I've quoted him many times in my book, by the way. But not only is the content very interesting, but the way it is written is funny. At the same time, it's very poetic. And it reminds me of some Dos Passos and Hemingway that I've written in my youth. And so it's a really pleasant reading. The book is really a very interesting link to other books from Dmitry Orlov to Richard Heinberg or Chris Martenson, which are also very fundamental authors to understand the status of the world today and of tomorrow. And he quotes them and links to them, and it's very interesting to see that we have now a community of us writers and authors who analyze and probably synthesize a lot of the data from the scientific community, whether it's on climate, whether it's on energy, peak oil, as well as sociology on understanding how our cities and how our sociological system, how the psychology of the people around us, ourselves as well, are going to react, and it's not going to be pretty, to the coming decline and possibly collapse, which I think is more likely than decline, of society. Anyway, so Too Much Magic, as the title explains, is really about dispelling the wishful thinking that we live in. And it's true, when you write a book like I wrote with mine, with Survival, Survive the Economic Collapse, a lot of people adore it and of course like it, and no wonder it's a bestseller. Just as Kunstler's book, previous book, The Long Emergency, was a huge bestseller in English-speaking languages. However, the vast majority of people are in complete denial. And when you bring them arguments that are solid, scientific, about why the future is not going to be pretty, they usually tell you stories which are akin to the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus, basically saying, no, you know, there's going to be technological solution, there's going to be whatever magic solution, miracle, that is going to save and enable us to keep our way of life. And this is, after all, only normal. No one wants to change their way of life, especially people who have vested so much interest in education, in signs of looking good in today's society. And this is a huge investment. We invest all our lives in what we do, in our jobs, in status symbols. And so when someone tells you, look, this is not going to happen for whatever reason, and these reasons are factual, there is a complete denial, or they try to find solutions which are never going to happen. And this book tries to address some of that. So first of all, it describes the status of today's United States and let's say global situation regarding energy, regarding our way of life. And it succeeds very well in synthesizing. I said I'm frustrated that it's too short because I like to read him so much. Then it also goes into maybe the most, as always, smart part of Kunstler books, is when he talks urbanism. If you want to read more, I suggest you read his Kunstlercast. He has done a weekly program on a web internet radio in the United States that you can Google, and that covers a lot of those topics regarding urbanism, urban landscapes, and how these things impact way of life and society. So it covers that very, very well, and how the automobile and the history of the United States development of cities and urban landscape was built around the motorways and of course the car, which is a catastrophic consequence today, as people are going to be unable with the shortage of energy that are going to come in the next decade or 15 years or so, to drive around, to feed themselves, and even to take care of the infrastructure that has been built that is going to decay into oblivion, especially in the United States. Here in Europe, we are more fortunate to have more public transportation and to have shorter distances. But still, I think the problem is going to be the same, and it's going to be very severe in Europe as well, and also a lot in Asia, where the cities are also phenomenally big and recent. Other elements in the book is about the techno-narcissism that our society is in. And again, this is the core of the book, where it talks about too much magic. Our narcissism, the belief that everything we have today in our society is the best that could have ever been invented and done. And of course, this is complete insanity, because we have built an unsustainable world, and we hang to it with all our myths, all our miracle solutions that are unproven, that are pie in the sky solutions that are never going to happen. And that is a very interesting chapter. I really enjoyed this, since I come myself from the technology industries, and I've been experiencing this kind of wishful and miracle thinking, in fact magical thinking. I think he got to the point with this wording of too much magic. It's exactly that. It is belief in magic. It's completely irrational. And I hope I'm proven wrong, and I hope James Kunstler is proven wrong, but I believe we won't be, and he won't be. And then a topic that is also dear to me, he completely destroys the political system of the United States, and he could have done the same on Europe. But basically, the futility of politics is blatantly true today. The system is so corrupt at its core and so irrecoverable that politics are never going to matter anymore. Certainly not the party politics that exist today. And this system is going to collapse just as the economy collapses around it. And people don't believe in it anymore. The media are not existent anymore. The only caveat perhaps I have with Kunstler is, while I'm not a conspiracy theorist myself to some extreme, I think he's probably a little bit too erring and conservative on the there's no conspiracy ever kind of approach. But okay, this is all debatable. In all cases, what matters with these things is to look at facts. And certainly some facts for me are troubling in some of the events in the world. But on the other hand, a lot of conspiracy theories are just nonsense. But it's very interesting to be open and be able to discuss about them. So anyway, besides the point. What is interesting also is that it's a book that also obviously covers peak oil and the end of cheap and easy energy, and he dispels a lot of those myths about cold fusion, the algae, abiotic, the nonsense abiotic oil. And I know, don't even send me emails about this. I don't give a fuck. I don't care about abiotic oil. If there is abiotic oil, good, great for you. You know it before others, and you will get a Nobel Prize. But stop sending me emails. And I think Kunstler also does receive these emails about this complete nonsense theory that has been disproven so many times. Anyway, doesn't matter. Anyway, I hope I'm wrong. And in the end, of course, this book touches ecology and shows the potential disastrous system we're in. And I would abund with James Kunstler on, and I think perhaps he's a bit conservative, but I think we are really in creating a big mess in terms of food production. And who cares about the sea levels, but really food production, this is going to kill billions of people in the next decade or 20 years, big time. And this is going to create havoc, and it's going to create mass migration on scales we've never seen. And he's describing some of that, I think, very succinctly and very well. And in the end, he describes the social structure of today's America, and he's very cruel, but I think he's right on the stupidity. And I would say not only America, of course, the whole world, of the stupidity of the masses, the stupidity of entertainment, the stupidity of education system that creates servants and slaves instead of enlightened and smart people, and therefore people unable ever to tackle the problems, and that will resort to high resentment and violence when they will be frustrated from not being able to live the way they were used to live or that they hoped to live. And actually the end of his book is very interesting because it really leads to where my book actually starts, is now what do you do? Once you have analyzed the problems, how you go forward, how you build yourself, how you survive the coming mess that is coming towards us. And while my book is probably more being written first in French, coming out in English soon, was written first for Europe, and especially with a French, Swiss, Belgian perhaps approach. The English version of the book is going to be more US and UK and the Anglo-Saxon world as well. Anyways, so I keep talking about my book. I'm so impolite. I'm here to talk about James Kunstler's book, Too Much Magic. Very, very good book. I encourage you to read it. I encourage you especially to read the other books by James Kunstler, World Made by Hand series. These are a must. And of course, if you want to learn more about the status of suburbia and the urban system, The Long Emergency and Geography of Nowhere are really books that any one of us should have read. Anyways, it's a warm day. Actually, it's way too warm. So I'm going to go back, finish some work. I'm near Geneva, so I have to ride with my bicycle to get home. I leave you from here. Take care. This is Piero Giorgio. Have a great day.